Ah, hey everybody. Oh, I don't do this. I never do this. So I'm hoping that this is actually working. I see myself on both sides. So I'm woo, confident that this is starting to go through. Hey y'all, how you doing? Happy Thursday. Happy World Breastfeeding Week. Happy National Breastfeeding Month. It is something that is near and dear to my heart, as I'm going to talk a little bit about tonight, because I was a breastfeeding mommy, and it is one of the things that shaped my journey as a mom right from the very beginning. I've been passionate about what I call, or what I refer to as, first foods justice, because that's ultimately what it is. It's not just about, the choice to do what you want in terms of feeding your baby, but it is about honestly um, choosing the healthiest option for your child, following through with that to the best of your ability. And it looks lots of different ways for lots of different mommies. We're going to talk about some of the different ways that it looks. Um, but this space is not just for me to talk and chatter at you. Y'all can comment. I would love to see your thoughts and comments come in. I'll pop them on the screen as I am able, and we're going to talk through this together. So, first things first, tell me who all is out there. Tell me what you guys got going on, where you're from. Let's just warm up the room a little bit, because I won't be before you long. I won't be before you long. We're not going to stay here all night talking about nursing, but we're going to hang out for a little bit. I'm going to pop on and see. Okay, cool. I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to see it. Yay! My friends are coming on. My folks are coming in. Hey, y'all. I'm live right now. I'm going to pop it over here. Live now. Ooh, my phone is so loud, y'all. Live now. Put a big old sticker across the top and then share that out to y'all. Cool. Let me see who all is in here. It is so hard to try to watch and to watch yourself on a live. I'm looking at how I look. I'm like, girl, you look tired. You could use a nap. You need to hydrate. Y'all, join in. It's so good to see you guys coming into the live. I know some of you will be watching this live a little bit later. Um, and that's cool too. I appreciate you tuning in to the message. So, once again, it is National Breastfeeding Month. National Breastfeeding Month. All month long, you're going to be seeing celebrations and information, which is absolutely critical, about the choice to breastfeed our babies, which I think is an absolutely critical choice to have control over, and for us to really think about and to prioritize. I'm going to jump in and just start rattling out some of the things that I have been thinking about as I prepped for this live. Um, and I think there's probably an inflammatory comment or two that will be made on this evening. So I want to and there's probably an overshare or two that will also be made on this evening. So, eh, it's what it is. It's the kind of information that y'all need, right? There's so many people that I have come across um, since I decided that I was going to breastfeed, I was going to nurse my child. Ever since I decided that, there's been people who have come up to me and said that they had no idea that that was even an option, that people even did that anymore. They had no idea that that was something that we were doing after the 1900s, right? So, my decision to breastfeed is where I'll start tonight. I decided that I was going to do something different. I was not breastfed. My mom did not choose that. She's from that generation of women who like were working girl bosses, and they didn't have time for that. I don't have time for that, right? I I do not know that my grandparents did or did not choose that. And I can't think of any women in my family that I could point to and say, oh, yeah, so and so breastfed. Oh, yeah, well, so and so breastfed. Like it was never part of the conversation. It was not something that was discussed. It's not something that was brought up. It was not something that we ever, we didn't just throw that out there for conversation. So when I decided that I was going to breastfeed, my mom was the first one that I had to like really sit down and be like, hey, no, I'm making a choice, making to say, I know you didn't choose this, but I am choosing this for me. And I think my husband was always on board. I think that was never a question for him. Like, what you want to do is what I want to do, kind of approach to it, which I appreciated. But I don't think that brother knew what we were getting into either. So it just is the first step, right? Actually choosing breastfeeding, actually choosing that actively, and then like circling the camp, right? Getting everybody else on board. I think it also is important to note that I did not just decide that I was going to be nursing this baby. I decided that I was going to nurse her exclusively for the first year of her life. I read the article somewhere. I can't find it. I don't know where it is, where if it's still posted, if it's still valid. But I read the article, and there was some other information that came forward that supported that decision. But I decided that for the first year of my baby's life, she was going to receive breast milk exclusively, nothing else. No rice, no cereal, no what they used to call pablum, right? Um, and the article that I read, the information that I came across was like, y'all are overfeeding these babies. Y'all think they're hungry. They're not. It's not that they're hungry. You're literally like drugging them with food. We're establishing in their brains early on that like the unhealthy eating habits. So in taking a look at that and really just stepping back and being like, you know what? I'm gonna ride with the experts on this one. I'm gonna lean to medical wisdom on this one. Right? There are some other places where I leaned heavy to ancestral wisdom and was like, doctors don't know what they're talking about, right? Raise your hand if you've ever had that moment where like, no, them doctors don't know what they're talking about, right? In 1 minute, and then you make the swing back to the other side. It happens, right? I am guilty of that. But in any case, I decided that for the first year, we were going to do just breast milk. And it was hard. And one of the hardest things, again, was getting everybody who was going to be, who's going to have access to our baby, and getting everybody who was going to, be participating in her life in that way on board with that idea, right? That we're going to give her breast milk, and we are only going to give her breast milk. And Shonda said, no rice, no cereal, no, I'm gonna put a little something in there and I'll mix this with a little half formula. And that, nope, none of that. None of that. Right. Now, the first couple of days of breastfeeding were not terribly easy. Like, she was a really good eater. Let me see, she latched right on about 20 minutes after she had been born. She like laid right up there on me, and she found her way, and she got what she wanted. And I was amazed at how intuitive the process was. I was like, it worked. We're doing it. Yay, team. I immediately was like, girl, come on, you and me, we got this. And it was a really good feeling initially. And then they started checking her weight. And again, this was a moment where I was like, no, what they're talking about. that, well, we want to supplement with some formula. That was the first thing that they came in there with. She's not gaining like we want her to, and we want to supplement with some. And I was like, I don't see how she's not gaining and she eating like she eating. I'm on the other side of this tap, and I know for a fact that homegirl is getting her fill. So they brought the formula in there, and they hooked up the little bottles and showed me how. I was like, okay, thank you. And I slid them right over to the put them right over there on the little nightstand. And I was like, put the rest of them in the bag. We don't need that. And we did okay for a couple weeks. And then I did start to notice that she was having a hard time latching. And one thing that they will tell you, and that as a nursing mom, if you are already there or you have been there, is that your milk changes. Your milk changes to meet the needs of that baby, right? So at first, it's that thick, heavy colostrum, and then it starts to loosen up and change after a few days. And so we got to the point where that milk was loosening up and it was dropping down, and I had what they would describe as a heavy letdown. Heavy letdown, right? Put it in the chat. Somebody say heavy letdown in the chat, right? That meant that like the milk was coming at that poor baby like a super soaker. We have officially reached the overshare portion of this evening. Y'all, the milk was coming at that baby like a super soaker. And she was like, she couldn't handle it, right? And so I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought baby was not she's something that she was doing before, she's not doing now all of a sudden. And it was the milk changed, the process changed, and we have to like we got to change with it, right? So once our pediatrician is absolutely phenomenal. The practice that we are with, they are amazing. They've been with us from day one, literally from 24 hours old. The folks at that practice have been seeing my baby, my little girl, and they actually had a lactation consultant on hand. So at that like week and a half, 2 week visit, when I was describing what was going on, there was this sweet little nurse who came from around the back of the the counter that day before we left. She said, I'm gonna spend 20 minutes with you in the nursing room. And I was like, okay, because like I was hysterical by that point. Like baby's not eating, she's looking like she's in distress every time it's time to nurse, and I'm hurting and things and stuff, and it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. So when they offered the help of a lactation consultant, I was like, yes, yes, thank you, thank you. And so we sat with her, and that sweet little old lady from the mountains of wherever, North Carolina, she got me straight. And she was like, oh, honey, I see the problem. And she got in there and helped us with the technique. She helped us figure it out. So it takes community support for moms to be able to achieve those goals. It takes community support, and you've got to have professionals in that community. You've got to have homegirls and girlfriends, because again, my decision to breastfeed was not out of my own head completely. The question was raised by one of the women who had become my daughter's godmommy. He was like, are you going to breastfeed? And I was like, It was a question that hadn't even entered my mind. And yet, there it is. So after talking with her, she was like, yeah, I breastfed mine and turned out just fine. And I enjoyed it. And she talked about the benefits of like they got all the antibodies, they were well fed, they grew at an appropriate rate. And also she talked about the bonding of that. And I think that was one of the things that really cemented my decision for me. It was really important to have that special time that's just for us, that you don't have to share the baby with anybody else, and you get those little sweet moments. So and that bonding has proven to be long term for us, that bonding. Y'all, my daughter, she's joking when she does it now, but like she gave me a hug this morning after she brushed her teeth, and she was like, Mommy, when I come home, I would love it if we could just like cuddle. And I was like, oh, Yes, we can cuddle when you come home from camp. Mommy would be pleased with that. I absolutely want to do that. So I think it is, I earnestly think it's because we spent all of that time together breastfeeding. She spent that time nursing, and it was a good experience overall for us, right? So I, I'm out here, I'm rambling and I'm losing my place. I made a list, but I guess that's how lives go, right? You just talk and start talking and keep talking. Um, so, something else that I wanted to talk about, or I wanted to actually ask this as a question. Y'all, why don't Black moms choose breastfeeding? What's the reason? What's the reason? I know I never saw it. Again, for me, I didn't see my mother breastfeed. I didn't see grandparents or immediate family. I didn't. And if they did, I didn't know that that's what they were doing. That that was the choice that they had made. Um, and I will tell you this, like in terms of media portrayal, it matters, because the only time I think I really ever saw people of color, or Black women especially, breastfeeding was in a National Geographic magazine, right? When, they've got half naked women sitting in the African wilderness. That did not, in my mind, equate to something that was for me, right? I thought breastfeeding was solely for rich white women. That was something that they got to do because they had the time, they had the resources and the thing and the right. Had no idea that, like, yeah, no, Black women can and should breastfeed too. So like, what were your encounters with breastfeeding, and like, why don't Black women take that up? Why don't Black women feel like breastfeeding is a thing for them? I want to see what's in the chat. What's in the chat? There's a little bit of a delay sometimes, so I'm going to give you guys plenty of time. And while those are coming in, I'm going to just like take a moment, because again, the concept that this is for some people and not for other people, that's something, that's a barrier we need to break, something we need to address and really come to terms with. This is an ancestral practice. Again, this belongs to us. They got it from somewhere, and that somewhere is here, right? So I want to know, why do you think? I won't ask a definitive question like that. I see. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Absolutely, Wanda. It was amazing for me. My husband was like, "Babe, not being funny, but you are the snapback queen." Because like, I did belly binding and breastfeeding in combination. And again, that came from one of my African homegirls, right? She was like, "You bind your belly?" And I was like, "I what?" I had no idea what she was talking about. I knew that I was like shaking around and feeling loose on the inside, because like there was a space where a baby was and there was no baby there anymore. And like everything had to come together. And some of the research again that I found did say that it burns calories because your body's making and producing milk, and it helps in healing postpartum. So, yeah, absolutely. Now, Wanda Pleasant, we're gonna get around to how long we breastfed. We're gonna get around to that one. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but just know that I'm on the far side of the spectrum. We'll come to that, right? Um, I think if we knew that breastfeeding was a an ancestral practice, that this is something again that is part of our innate culture, something that we do, um, and that it's not gone out of fashion, and it's not something that like we were doing simply out of, I don't know how to explain it, but like the notion that we don't have to breastfeed anymore because we have formula now for that. That is such a silly notion that we are going to like give our children this manufactured synthetic thing that God has already placed within us. Spirit has already placed within us. The Creator has already placed within us the ability to make and manufacture milk. Now, that brings me to another point that I wrote about in my notes. Um, I am well aware that it is not possible for every woman, every mother to nurse. That sometimes it's not a physical possibility. I'm well aware of that. That sometimes it's not sometimes they are unable, right? So, and having struggled with breastfeeding, I can identify with what that feels like. And having had lots of periods where I was like, I didn't get but 2 ounces today. What is I'm gonna do? How am I gonna feed this baby? Right? Like just going back and forth and knowing that about myself, I am well aware that there are women out there who wish to breastfeed, who want to breastfeed and have not been able to or were not able to. And I think that there aren't enough options presented for those women, right? Okay, here's where I'm so very willing to step out on this ledge and say some controversial things and some things that maybe we just haven't thought about and maybe we haven't thought about in context. So y'all know my thing is Kwanzaa. Y'all know I can connect Kwanzaa back to anything because it is connected to everything. It's simple, right? So when we think about breastfeeding, typically y'all think mother and child have this thing that they have to do together, right? I disagree. I think that breastfeeding is a community effort. Everybody has to be on board, especially when mothers are potentially having a hard time um, as it is, right? Either physically producing enough milk or children who are having a hard time latching and getting the milk, right? For those moms, being able to pump and being able to express and get that milk into bottles or on spoons, or like I've seen cheesecloth, like there were a million different things. But how would we know that if it's not presented, if we're not taught, if nobody's telling us that? And where do you get that information? From the village, from the community. The village mothers are the ones who like helped me, aside from that sweet nurse who's the lactation consultant, right? I had maybe 2 sessions with the lactation consultant, and everything else I got from my sisters in the village, my other modern black mommies who were doing it and making it work. That's where I got my information, right? And so I think when moms are having a hard time, they need more options. They don't need to just be told, okay, well, now formula is your option. That didn't work, so just give them the formula. I think that we have to slow down and think about ways that we can support them, right? You can support them through helping ensure that they have the breast pump that's going to work for them, right? Y'all, I had about 5 breast pumps. Like 2 of them are probably still in my storage unit right now. Right now. I had multiple different brands, different styles, different types. I had the wireless ones that you just like you sit them down in the bra cups and then you're like hands free and you can go about your day and keep doing the things and the stuff. I had about 5 different breast pumps because I had to find the one that was going to work. I even had one, y'all. Oh my God. This one breast pump in particular, the noise that it makes. If you were a pumping mommy, put pumping mommy in the chat, and I want you to tell me what sound or what phrase your pump used to say to you. I did not know this was a thing until I was in the breastfeeding community, in the nursing community, and I was like, yeah, it talks to me late at night. That midnight pumping or that 2 a.m. pumping when it's you in the pump and everybody else in the house is cozied up asleep and it's just on you, right? Mine used to say, give up, give up, give up. Y'all, I'm not playing, I'm not joking. That's what I used to hear. The doggone pump was telling me to give up. It was sick. Tell me in the chat, like what did your pump used to say to you? What did your pump tell you? Because mine was, it was mean to me. My pump was like, it's just a mess. I did not like it at all. And it would be like it wouldn't start out that way. It would go through cycles, right? So like it's got the priming cycle, like a washing machine. Y'all, but like when it was time to like really get into the thing, when that letdown would happen, that thing would tell me, give up, give up, give up. I can hear it in my mind. Oh my God. Listen. Oh, here's Wanda again. Y'all, she's in this chat. Where's everybody else? Listen, her comment is absolutely correct, right? Pumping and bottling your milk was how I was able to go back to work. I had to go back to work, y'all. I did my maternity leave, and through the kindness of good friends and folks who were able to donate leave and help me in that way, they were able to support me in staying out for a full 9 weeks. Right. So I didn't have to like rush right back to work. I stayed out for a full 9 weeks. And I was terrified because we were in week like 6 and my baby didn't want to take that bottle. She wanted it straight from the tap. She was jealous. She did not want, she didn't want it from anywhere else. She didn't want it any other way. She wanted it straight from the tap. It's the freshest milk possible. And that she was like a little baby cow right by my side, nursing. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But my mom, who is not yet living here in North Carolina with me, she moved here later. But my mom came up for a visit and she came to kind of like help with that transition, going back to work and like changing things around and helping me get settled in a new way with this new baby. And my mom was like, you'll have to go in the back room and don't come out until I call you. She took that breast milk and she got that bottle, and we had to try a million different like nozzles, a million different nipples on the bottles, and I had the super expensive like glass bottles because they're better than the plastic bottles, and the right, all the things that they tell you about mommy gear when you have these babies. Like everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got a best practice, everybody's got a thing and some stuff. And I'm just like, okay, so like, is this really a thing? Apparently it was. Apparently it absolutely was. And my mom, she was a trooper because my baby cried, she hollered, she cursed in baby language. Like she told us a lot of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, she's not going to make it. And neither am I. Because I was in the back with my nerves tore up, y'all. I was in the back room with my nerves tore up. And again, nursing moms know that when you hear a crying baby, whether it's yours or somebody else's, what happens? Somebody say heavy letdown in the chat. So I'm back there soaking through my cotton pads. I'm soaking through my shirt. I'm soaking through everything. And it's a total mess. But it got quiet. And my mom called me and I was like, what did you do? She was like, I found the right nipple. I put it on the bottle and we have an understanding. The two of us have an understanding. If she want this milk, she's going to have to get it from this bottle. And I was like, oh, okay. And it worked. So I was able to like Wanda pump and freeze and have milk a day ahead. And getting a day ahead was a little bit of a challenge. Especially when like you had my greedy kid at my hip. She wanted it all day, all the time. And she would drink herself to sleep and then and wake up looking for some more. It was ridiculous. And I don't know how I kept up with it, but somehow it's nothing more than the grace of God and the generosity of the ancestors. That's all I can think. That's all I can think, y'all. And so again, my community, Ujima, that spirit of Ujima, they had to come together and make it work, right? when we think about cooperative economics, like it's wild to me, but they tell you, no, 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 you can't share pumps. No, everybody has to have their own pump, and you gotta, and the wires and things, and it's unsanitary. And I'm like, boil that stuff, run it through the dishwasher, boil it again, and let's go. Give that to the next mommy who needs it, right? I was fortunate in the sense that I was able to get the pump that I needed through insurance. I was able to choose my pump, and I got that through my insurance, right? But that pump was not the pump for me, it turns out. And then later on, I was like, maybe I need two pumps. Maybe I need one here and I need one there. I need a travel pump because I was a busy new mom on the go. I was still doing shows. I was working. I was leading meetings. I was chairing the City of Raleigh Arts Commission at the time. I didn't have time to like have to go home and pump or like have to pull out the whole thing. I needed to be able to sit in my truck and be on a call and do the thing simultaneously, right? So I had to have multiple pumps, right? I was in a position to be able to afford that. Everyone is not. All Black moms are not. And for those who are not, we need to make pumping accessible, right? A couple of things that I discovered the Haka, which was when you let down from both sides, but the baby's typically on one side or the other, unless you got twins, which big ups to twin mommies. If there's any twin mommies watching, pop it in the comments because I want to give you a high five and tell you how proud I am of you. Twin mommies. But like if they're out there, listen, that letdown, all the milk on that one side ends up in your bra. It ends up running down your shirt, or it ends up like somewhere that's not usable for the baby for next time, right? So alternatively, you get what you call a haka, and it's like a little suction cup with a little bowl at the bottom, and it is able to capture all of that milk that would otherwise go to waste. So I almost doubled my maybe not my production, but I doubled the milk that I was able in ounces to capture. And then also I got the hands-free pumps. I told you the ones that like you just stick them down in the cups of your bra, and then you go about your business, and it does what it does, and you do what you do, and the right. I had a couple of like spillage incidences, and you talk about crying over spilt milk. Like if you have ever lost ounces of breast milk, then you know the you know the pain and disappointment that that brings, right? So I have had to like salvage milk in unspeakable ways. I'm not even gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna leave that alone for a second. Then I got I bought one that had the dashboard plug, so I could plug it into my truck and sit in my truck and pump and keep it moving. Right, that was another option, but the most economical option and the one that like I ended up in my breastfeeding journey like rolling with and just is what it is, and we got stuff to do, and this is how we're gonna make it happen. I was hand expressing into mason jars by the time we got to the end of this thing. I'm serious. And that method was nigh unto free. It was not just inexpensive, it was just about free, right? So if you had a specific favorite pump or a favorite method of getting that milk, I want to hear from y'all. Don't just tell me just pumping. Like, tell me, right? And while you guys are putting those specifics in the chat, I'll just like relate to you one cute little funny story. So I was teaching as a new mom. I went back to teaching in the classroom. And I was pumping one day in my classroom. It was lunch break. I would always turn my lights off. I had a sign that I would put on my door. My window was covered. I would lock it and I would hide away inside my classroom and pump. I would put everything in the little those little baggies, and then I would put the baggie in my classroom fridge. My husband bought me a fridge that I could have in my classroom so that like I could store milk all day and then bring it home at night and get it all set for the next day. And we had a cycle, we had a routine. So I'm pumping and I heard this knock at my door and I was like, now I know they see my sign. I know y'all see my sign. So I ignored it. I just sat there quietly and continued to meditate as I was pumping. And then the knock came again. And I was like, I'm pumping. I made an announcement. And the knock retreated. And about 2 minutes later, I heard keys in my door, y'all. Here comes admin with a student talking about, well, his lunchbox and his backpack was locked in here. He forgot to take it to. And they're both looking at me like, but what you doing back? Because I had my jean jacket on backwards. Because I was always terrified that somebody was going to ignore my sign and my closed door and my lights out and was going to barge in and catch me pumping. And I did not want to be sitting in my classroom exposed. So I was like, hey, friends, can we please not do that? I'd appreciate it. So that was one of the moments that I knew and understood that I needed to advocate for appropriate spaces for moms who need to pump at work, right? Nobody wants to be sitting in a bathroom. Bathrooms are nasty. Nobody wants to have to go sit in a bathroom. You can't always retreat to your vehicle, right? My vehicle, my parking spot was so close that I could actually like sit in my truck and answer emails. But there was a lot of foot traffic. Kids would be walking by, going to and from lunch, or cars would be passing, and I wasn't comfortable there either, right? And so I went my entire breastfeeding journey like on on a wing and a prayer, hoping that nobody was going to unlock a door and catch me in transition mode, right? When I got my hand pump and when I got good at hand expressing, things actually went a little bit faster and I could like get in, get out, do what I was going to do and be done, right? It saved me some time. Again, I'm looking in the chat just to see if anybody has thoughts about like how specifically they used to pump or what their favorite method or what their favorite pump was. I don't see anything. We'll keep chatting. Y'all, I'm telling you, there's a whole thing. This falls under the category of first foods justice, right? It's not just a nicety. It's not just a luxury to be able to feed your baby. You should be able to feed your baby. It should be safe. It should be accessible. It should be affordable. It should be all those things. And it can't be if we are not vocal about the challenges that we as breastfeeding moms, and especially as Black breastfeeding moms had, right? I think one of the things is to be thoughtful about is that like also as Black women, we tend to like skew to being modest and to like quietly doing it. And we want to step away. We want a quiet room and we want to, those kinds of things. I was good for the 2-shirt method. I got real good. A tank, a tee, and a flannel was my uniform for, hey girl, no, you good. I got company, y'all. A tank, a tee, and a flannel was my uniform for a minute, right? And people were like, you got a lot of flannel shirts. I was like, yeah, because I got a lot of milk I got to make. And a tank, a tee, and a flannel shirt, like what I would do, this is a hot tip. I would put on my, of course, over my bra and everything. And I always had a cotton, those, they were not cotton, these were bamboo. I got them on Amazon and they came in like a 50 pack. And I would like pull them out at the end of the day, chuck them in the laundry and get 2 more. And sometimes I would go through like 4 of them in a day or 6 of them in a day. But it just was a way for me to get in there and to, I don't know how to explain it. It was a way for me to be able to be free and to breastfeed and not always have to be like beholden to like the muslin blanket and like the backwards jean jacket and the thing and stuff, right? If the baby was there, my baby had a big head. She's got a big head. She takes after her daddy, right? And so I would have the t-shirt up. I have the tank top down, and the baby would latch, and nobody could see anything. And I had the flannel shirt just in case, right? And my baby got so good that she would take the buttons and play with the buttons on the flannel shirt or something while she was nursing, and it was quick and easy and simple for me, and it put me in a uniform for a little while. I had to like yeah. I had to decide that like style was gonna take a back seat for a minute. But even at that, they always looked cute. And I had like fun coordinated colors. I would wear, a blue shirt and a gold tank and a blue and gold flannel. And I would make it work. I found little ways, right? But if you had any cute, fun little no, let me ask this question. Did y'all hide while y'all were nursing, or did y'all nurse openly? Did you nurse out in the public? Did you like my baby's hungry and we gonna eat? Or did you like I wish I had some of the funny pictures. My husband was masterful at like catching a shot of me while I was nursing and just be like, I don't know how you do it. I mean, I nursed her at church, I nursed her in restaurants, I nursed her in the truck, I nursed her all over the place. Targets, when we were still going to Targets had the best nursing facilities. So like if I was out just like needed an outing and I was shopping in Target, I could go to the fitting rooms and there was always one fitting room that was reserved for nursing moms. And it had a little chair, and the chair had a phone charger, and it had a little like and you could sit and be comfortable and do what you need to do and then go back to what you were doing. Right? It was a whole lot. Hey, cousin Monique. My cousin's in the chat, y'all. Um, this is so cool. My cousin has a brand new baby too. She's so sweet. I get a chance to like watch them from afar on Facebook and on social media because they're on the other side of the country from us. But I'm certainly looking forward to getting together with them. Yeah, I'm sharing my personal story because I feel like not enough people are doing that. I'm sharing my personal story because, like, in order to build community, we have to, first of all, be together in spaces like this. So I probably will be having more lives. But I think we also have to build relationships and be able to be honest with each other and open with each other, right? There's probably some people who will catch this recap and be like, I know way more about Shonda Branch than I ever think I wanted to. That's cool. That's cool. Y'all gonna learn some more too in the coming days, weeks, months, all of that. Y'all gonna learn some more. But I'm just like ecstatic that I have this forum and that it's helpful. I hope it's helpful, right? So yeah, that was the two shirt method. A tank of tea and a flannel is how I used to like get around. I did that for a minute. Oh, somebody wanted to know about when she got teeth. Let me tell you something. When the baby starts to grow mouth bones, which is what my sister calls teeth, when the baby starts to grow mouth bones, it's time for a reevaluation of the situation, right? Because most babies by one are starting to get little peggies, right? And they are sharp. Oh my Lord, they are sharp. And I was worried about that. I was like, because I don't want to get bitten. I do not want to be bitten by this little person, this tiny human. I don't want them to bite me. Um, and what somebody said to me, again, a homegirl in the village, homegirl in the sister circle, was like, girl, they don't bite. She said they know better. Y'all, she said that, and I believed her. I was like, oh, she was like, yeah, you have a quick conversation with them, look them in the eye and tell them, hey, if you bite me, you don't get no more. And she was like, babies know exactly what you're saying to them. They understand you. They understand you just fine. And I was like, all right. And sure enough, those little Peggies started coming in, and I was like, girl, listen, mommy loves you, but we will not continue down this path if you bite me. We will not continue down this path if you bite me. Right? I want to. I'm here to help and support you, but if you bite me, all bets are off, girl. So sure enough, those little Peggies came in, and again, the creator is amazing. God is so smart. God knows what he's doing. Imagine that. And the way that babies latch, their tongue actually slides right over the spot where those teeth are coming in. So they should never ever make contact. Now she got me one good time, but she had fallen asleep. I have fallen asleep because typically when they're not supposed to sleep with it in the mouth, right? And so you sneak them away and you break that seal. It's like a mason jar lid sometimes, y'all. That thing is tight. If you've ever pickled anything, you know what I'm talking about. That seal that little lid get that right. Typically, well, on this particular night, we were both knocked out. And when she came to with the start and she gave me a good one. And I thought I was going home to meet my savior. I thought I was a goner, y'all. Nothing in the world hurt like that ever in my life. Not even childbirth. It was bad. And I can laugh about it now because, of course, everything heals. And ironically, one of the things that aided in the healing was putting a little breast milk on it, right? Who knew? I knew because I learned and I found out. But breast milk has healing agents. That stuff is better than Neosporin. It is better than being it is listen, if you had acne and breakouts, I would break out a little bit. Right in this region is my trouble spot. Every once in a while up here around my hairline, right? Dab of breast milk, especially like when the breast milk was too old for the baby to drink. I'm not throwing that out. Mommy's gonna have a little facial. Mommy's gonna have a little me time. It's mine now. It's mine now, right? Little breast milk, clear it right up, right? And then little small cuts and scrapes. Like Carly always had like really sharp nails, and she would like catch herself in the face. My grandfather, who's an ancestor now, my grandfather, when she was born, saw the little mittens on her, and he said, "Oh, look, she's got all her boxing gloves." And we had to keep them on her because her nails were so sharp, and we had to like just make sure that she wasn't scratching herself up. But she would every once in a while catch herself, or I would take one off. I would take them off to do her nails, and she would catch herself with one, and it was a mess, right? But a little dab of breast milk helped it heal. It was amazing, right? And now, have y'all seen these commercials where the guy's standing there? There's dude bro in a commercial, and he's standing there with his shake, and he's like whipping up a shake or a smoothie or something. And he's like, yeah, my workouts, I use colostrum support. And I was like, did that boy just say he's drinking breast milk? Y'all, yet again, the secrets and the wisdom of African and indigenous people has gotten into the hands of others, and they have marketed it. They are monetizing it. They are selling. Like colostrum is the new collagen, right? Everybody's dumping it in their immuno support. And I'm like, y'all, we been knew breast milk was good for you. Y'all have never studied it seriously, and that's why like you're just coming to this realization. But that's what that is, y'all. It blew my mind when I saw that commercial, and it wasn't the first one. I saw an advertisement for, oh, I know what it was. My mother-in-law had some supplements that she's been taking, and she was telling me how much she was enjoying them. And I went to the website to see, what other flavors they had. And I looked up and I was like, yo, they are selling the colostrum. They're, y'all, we have known for a long time. That ancestral wisdom has been there. We have known for a long time that this was good for you. It was good for our babies, right? Um, I was in a mommy group one time, and the girl was like, "Yeah, my husband don't know it, but I'm putting breast milk in it." She was cooking with it, y'all. Any recipe that called for like the jiffy, the cornbread, y'all. She was putting breast milk in the cornbread. She was like, "Well, I was really making it for my son, but my husband ate it up and he liked it so much I kept doing it." I was like, girl. She was like, "Oh yeah, mashed potatoes. they they real creamy. They real fluffy. They good. They stick to your bones. Oatmeal." She had a whole. I was like, "Y'all, you can't be serious." The one that got me was coffee creamer. I was like, "Y'all, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it." I was like, I feel like the breast milk is for the babies, it's for the little ones, it's for the littles, and they need that, and maybe we should leave it alone. Child, I heard some wild stuff. It's not entirely off the map, but yeah, I think that would have to be a deep and thoughtful conversation. I would have to be a deep, deep and thoughtful conversation. Y'all, I am looking at my list, deciding what else we need. Oh, y'all. Okay. Y'all remember 2020? Y'all remember that? Okay, yeah. So listen, I had my baby in 29, no, 2018. 2018. And shortly thereafter, we were in the throes of COVID, right? So I made my year. I won my golden pumpy from 1 year of service as a as a breastfeeding mommy. Um, and we were doing really well. Carly was thriving. I was I was thriving. We had a rhythm. I was reading and researching, and the reading and research said you can keep breastfeeding. You don't have to stop. So she did continue to receive breast milk. After she was on solid foods and everything else, we began to incorporate just a regular diet and do things, the way the pediatrician had advised us. I did mix breast milk into all of her food because we also made our baby food. We opted out of Gerber. I won't say she never had it, but like that was because we were on a road trip and I didn't have a baby bullet with me, and to keep things frozen and to keep things refrigerated was nonsense. It was not a thing that we could make happen, right? So there was some trips to the store for like commercial baby food products. But by and large, I would cook. And what I cooked for us, once she had been through the cycle and we knew that she didn't have any allergies or any food aversions or anything like that, once we had all of that settled, I would cook and then I would puree and I would mix a little breast milk in. I had made tons and tons of popsicles by then. I was putting the breast milk in ice cube trays. You store them in the ice cube trays, especially the ones for like bottled water that come out like tiny little cylinders. We were using those. We would freeze it down, and then I would pop two in, and I knew exactly how much that was. I'd pop one in over here and like mix it down, and that was what we did going forward. So I continued to pump, I continued to hand express, I continued to give her the breast milk, and again, breast milk changes and it meets the needs of the baby. So by the time we got around to COVID, she was about 2 or approaching it, right? So I'm now a full year past my goal, yay me, right? And the antibodies and everything, I truly believe are what kind of kept her safe and healthy. She was able to continue going to school because we were with a private home caregiver, and Shelly kept those kids safe, and we had a bubble, we had an agreement, and everybody was able to do what they needed to do. And I continued to pump and express and to give her the breast milk. And again, and when I finally got my immunization, when they were finally, because I was a teacher and I was on the front line, and I was able to get that a little bit ahead of the general population, Gen Pop, right? I was able to get that, and those antibodies, again, in the research, in the reading, and everything else, were passed. So even though she didn't get the shot right away, she was getting what was in the milk, because what's in the mother is in the milk, and it's gonna go to the baby, right? So all of that was, I think, a blessing that I was able to nurse through that experience, and provide that level of safety for her, right? Do y'all remember that also was a time when there was like a formula shortage and people couldn't get a hold of formula? And there also was formula contamination, that there was like salmonella and some other like E. coli, or that something really, really scary was in the milk that they were giving these babies, was in the formula. And so, worldwide, again, this is World Breastfeeding Week. I know we've talked a lot about Black mommies, because that's my frame of reference. Hello, somebody. But I think that by and large, worldwide, if moms everywhere were supported in breastfeeding, our reliance on synthetic products would be limited, right? To moms who really needed that support, who actually didn't have other options. So that's something else that came to the forefront for me. I was grateful that I was able to do that. Um, the last thing that I want to touch before I wrap this up is that notion of Ujima and working as a community, collectively. I had the support of other breastfeeding moms online, right? And in chat groups and from afar and that kind of thing. But I also had one very special mommy friend who, I am the godmother to her baby, and she's godmommy to ours. And we had those babies 3 days apart. And we were literally going through the paces side by side, step by step. And she and I had an agreement and an understanding. Again, I'm well prepared to lose some of y'all in this, but Emily and I talked it over. And breastfeeding those babies was so important to us that we decided in community and with each other that, like, if we had to dip into one another's stashes to get these babies fed, we were going to do that, right? The notion of milk sharing, the notion of milk banking. It seems like such a personal thing, but I think we have to know and remember that there were community wet nurses. There were women in the community whose job was to nurse the babies, right? They gathered the children of the village and everybody got fed. And we were well aware of that notion somewhere in our ancestral brains, somewhere in our ancestral downloads. We were like, listen, sis, if you are running out, you let me know, and I'm sending my husband over there with this bag of frozen milk. And I knew that the same applied, right? We did not have to worry about that. We traded tips, we traded supplements, we helped each other, like, in every way possible. And with her training as a nurse, she had lots and lots of knowledge to share, lots and lots of knowledge to share, so that we were always on track and we were always like doing the best thing possible for our babies. And we also talked a lot about it openly to other moms who were making those choices or trying to understand our choices. And they're like, girl, you still breastfeeding that baby? I was like, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I need 10 minutes and we'll be right back. So it just is, I just want to recognize Emily's spirit in the room right now. And thank God that I had a partner. I had somebody who was like doing this thing with me, right? In community. I want to wrap up in our last just few seconds and just kind of go back through and reconnect us to why I initially got on here. The principles of Kwanzaa are near and dear to my heart, and they apply to so many aspects of our lives. And I just want to give you the overview of like how these 7 principles can help us support Black women, especially, but all moms who are choosing this journey, who are choosing to breastfeed, right? Um, it's an act of resistance. It's reclamation for us of an ancestral birthright and history. It is something that we know to be correct. And I think if more of us would share our story and more of us would share what we know, then we would be in a position to help other Black moms breastfeed, to help them nurse these babies. And when we have stronger, smarter, healthier babies, that is good for everybody. So Umoja is the first principle. It means unity. And again, you've got to have people on board with your decision to breastfeed. And if that is someone's choice, then we've got to say amen and hold hands and show up for them, and support in every way we can. Kujichagulia is the second principle of Kwanzaa. It means self-determination, and that means that every Black mom, every mommy worldwide should have the choice and the option and the access to choose breastfeeding if that's what she wants to do. And she should have the option to follow through with what she wants, right? Even when it's difficult, even if she's having a hard time, we should be able to honor and acknowledge her choice and to support her in every way that she needs. Ujima is collective work and responsibility. And again, the village has to come through for you. I can't tell you the number of times that like people offered me a quiet room, they offered me a space to nurse or to breastfeed. The time to breastfeed or to nurse, step away from a rehearsal or from a meeting or whatever else might be going on and take care of the needs of my baby. That was critical for me to be able to sustain my journey. And sometimes I needed somebody to like get this baby off me. Y'all take this bottle and go in the next room. And just know that I was supported in all the ways that I needed. Everybody came through for me and I was grateful. It really made all the difference. Ujama is cooperative economics. And again, things like sharing resources, things like ensuring that that necessary materials and equipment are available and accessible for moms who choose this. I will tell you that breastfeeding was more expensive than I thought it was going to be, but it was still nowhere as expensive as formula, right? By the time I bought that pump, that one pump sustained it. If I really had to lean on that one pump, right? And I didn't even really buy that one. That was covered by my insurance. But when I went out and bought that second pump, let's be real. When I went out and bought that second pump, that was a financial investment, but it sustained me through all the time that I was engaged in that experience. And again, the ancestral knowledge of like, girl, you can hand express that right in this mason jar and put the lid on it and put it in that refrigerator and put the date on it with this dry erase marker and keep it pushing. I was like, girl, what? Revelation, right? So it didn't make me money, but it did save me money in the long run. No mom should ever feel like she can't breastfeed because of a financial lack. Nia is the fifth principle, and it means purpose. And breastfeeding is not just about the nutrition. It's not just about feeding these babies. It's also about sustaining that bond with your baby. It's about looking deeply into those sweet little eyes. Oh, I would give nothing up for those moments. And it's about taking the time in stillness. I was so grateful for the moments of stillness that I had to sit still and feed this baby. And thank God for those moments. And again, we choose what is best for our babies because we understand that it is more than just vitamins and nutrients, that it's about the love and connection that we build and that we share in those moments, right? So Kuumba is the sixth, and it's creativity. It's one of my favorite principles of Kwanzaa. And this is about, again, doing things a little differently, right? It's not creativity, it's not always singing and dancing and painting. It is very often about singing and dancing and painting. And there are some tremendous pieces of art about breastfeeding. There are some tremendous like visual representations. I made one. There was a trend going around, and you superimpose a tree of life and the veins and the physical structures that are in a woman's breast, and you like fuse those two pictures together, and then you overlay that with you and the baby nurse. It's a really pretty picture, and like creative expression is certainly relevant here, but like honestly, it's about like that two shirt method. Girl, you don't have to be covered up all the time. Pull this up, pull this down, stick that baby's head in there, and let's go. Get her fed and keep eating or keep typing, right? Because I wrote a whole book with a nursing baby in my lap. I just want to put that out there. A whole book, right? Um, it's creativity in action that makes breastfeeding an art form, right? It's not easy. It is not easy. Don't let anybody tell you it is, but it's worth it, and it's possible. And you can do it with the support of your village and your friends. And you can do it when you think outside the box and address things from roundabout ways. And then finally, Imani, faith. I just spent the whole month of July talking about faith. Um, Again, it's hard. To say that the journey was easy would be an absolute lie. It just wasn't. Plain and simple. It was not easy. But I had to believe in myself. I had to believe in the relationship that I was building with my daughter. I had to lean on the fact that like she will tell me when she's done breastfeeding and when she's finished. That mechanism didn't click over until late. I promised at the end of this that I would tell you exactly how long I breastfed, and I will. But just knowing that you can see this through, that you can do it. You can do it, girl. You can do it. Right? All the ancestors, all the spousal support that you need, all the folks in the village, everybody is rooting for you. We all want what's best for you, and you know what that is. And if it's not breastfeeding, that's totally fine. But again, just pull it to the forefront that this is an option, it is achievable, and you will have support when you reach out to your community. So, those are the direct connections that I wanted to make in this hour. But I wanted to start by just sharing my heart and sharing that that journey was precious. Those moments, those 4 years. 4 years, y'all. Those 4 years. It was wild. September 25th was on her birthday. We came home from her birthday party, and I was like, okay, baby, mommy gonna give you a birthday nursey nurse, and then tomorrow morning, milk goes bye-bye. And like seeing her little face, she was like, bye-bye. Like, what do you mean? She looked at me like, mommy, what you talking about? And I was like, yeah, girl, it's time. It's time. Right? Now, 4 years sounds like a long time. That's 4 years American, right? 4 years in Africa, or 4 years old in Europe and in indigenous places and in across the sea, that they do that. It's just simply what they do. Right? Why? Because they don't have this American notion of rush, rush, rush and push them away and turn them over to the state and let the state raise them. They are taking time with their children. They get the full year of maternity leave and support. They get the time to be with their children. They have the option and the opportunity to connect in those ways that don't make breastfeeding for such a long time strange. So that in a nutshell is something that I adopted from, again, the ancestors. Emily and I, we fed those babies a long, long time. They got lots and lots and lots of milk. Right. And I think that it left an impression on them. I think that we breastfed to the point that like they were able to consciously connect that to how much we love them, in terms of not just supporting and nourishing them with food, but like also the time and the moments where like we could sit that baby in my lap and sing to her while I nursed. And it was beautiful. Right. So I am officially over time. I didn't think I was going to make the full hour, y'all. I was like, I don't know if I have enough to talk about, but here y'all are. So for everybody that's peeking and watching and tuning in. Thank you for being here. Again, I am Shonda Branch with Living Kwanzaa 365, and I am helping to build stronger minds, organizations, and individuals by infusing the 7 principles of Kwanzaa into our lives 365 days a year, right? Y'all, I'm so grateful that you spent this hour with me. Go forth in power. Ashe.